Hey, and welcome back to Right Hand Drive Guys. This week, we're going to be talking about some of the questions that I see the most on the internet, which is financing and insuring right-hand drive cars. Yeah. So I'm Bobby. This is Aaron.
Yo.
Let's get into it. So what I notice, obviously, right, when you can go to a normal car dealership, you get with the finance guy, he writes up your paperwork, you sign it, you're gone. You get a bill within 30 days and you start paying it, right?
Right.
And that's like the easiest thing in the world. It feels like way too easy a lot of times. So
they want your money.
Right. And that's because that's how that system was created, right? Is that revolving, and then in 5 years you're like, I need a new vehicle and whatever, right? So, but with these cars, it's absolutely different.
Yeah, it's totally different.
It's a whole different thing. And a lot of guys, think that they can, oh, hey, I'm going to go to my credit union and they're going to hook me up and I'll get a 5% interest rate and I'll have this R34 GTR M spec, right? Like highest hopes in the world. And, I think a lot of guys,
surely they'll give me $200,000.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. On this car, they can't see, they can't verify,
Right.
And so that is a problem, right? Because there are thousands of guys like us who love these cars and want to get into one.
Right.
But the problem is you can't just fill out the paperwork, get the bill in 30 days and, be good to go.
Yeah.
It's a huge hurdle. And so that's why we decided to do this episode because, we just realized that a lot of people are looking for that info. And of course, we don't know it all.
Right.
But we've been through enough to at least give some guidance. And same with the insurance, right? Like a lot of people think that you can just go right on to your Progressive or USA account, add that VIN, and you're good to go register it,
thought.
Yeah, you quickly find out when you're getting involved in this that that's not the case at all. And so, I did a lot of the research on the financing portion. Aaron did a lot of the research on the insuring portion, and we also have our personal experiences that we can add in. And so, why don't you lead off? Let's get into the insurance thing because maybe some guys have cash and they don't need to finance the car. So let's get to the part that they need to.
So insurance. It's one of those necessary evils if you're driving. Period. Whether a right-hand drive car,
unless you're a fool.
Unless you are a fool, those guys are definitely out there.
Oh,
but
for sure.
It's definitely one of those things you got to have, right? And starting. If you just have a basic beater daily driver, you got liability insurance that just covers if you hit someone, right? Then you also have full coverage, which you pay a deductible, and then
pretty much anything's going to be
covered. Yeah, you just pay your deductible and you're good. And the last and final type is the collector car type insurance, where it's an agreed upon value.
Yep.
So with these JDM cars, that's my favorite route to go because a lot of the insurance companies aren't going to see the values in these 90s cars, right?
Right.
So you want to get your maximum payout if something happens. And so these companies, it's like a sliding scale. The more you want insured, the more you say the car is worth, the higher your bill is going to be, right? Yeah. So it's one of those things. It's a trade-off. So, sure, you could register your base model Civic with a $50,000 policy. I don't know if that would show up any red flags or anything.
Agree upon that.
Right.
Because there
is some discretion there.
I've heard it called agreed value and full value, which I think is pretty much the same thing, but it's only to an extent. So from my experience with that, I have American Collectors Insurance.
Right.
And so when I first got the car, the agreed value was what I paid for it. Yeah. Which the agreed value was $50,000, which was a little more than I paid for it.
Right.
But then, once I got all the parts on it and all of that stuff, the agreed value went up to $80,000.
Right.
So my bill almost doubled, and I was like, oh. So I spent the money on all the parts and got everything installed, and it's this sick car, but wow, my insurance doubled.
Right.
But that's part of it. If somebody T-boned me tomorrow, I would get $80,000, and that's part of the agreed value of the car.
Right. And plus, like, for me personally, whenever I or insured my car, I was kind of surprised at how cheap it was.
Yeah, no, it's not
because
like
it
crazy.
is like a specialty type insurance, and there are restrictions with these collector car insurances, right? Like, they don't want you driving but so many miles a year.
Yeah.
They only want you driving certain days. Some of these policies, only certain days or to certain events or whatnot. Some of these insurance companies, they restrict it by age. Like, if you're not, I think, over 25, they won't insure you. Mm-hmm. If you have tickets, if you have too many tickets on your record, they won't insure you.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's like, which a lot of those, rules kind of apply to other insurances too. So it's not like it's this crazy thing, but you definitely got to make sure your I's are dotted and your T's are crossed before you think you're just going to get an $80,000 policy.
Right. For sure. So, I mean, for me, whenever I got my R32, first thing I did, I went down to my agent at the Allstate, gave him my VIN. The whole thing, I was like, surely they're going to insure this, because you got to insure your car before you go to register it.
Right.
So, this was like my first hurdle, right? So I go to insure it. Lady takes the VIN number. She's like, this doesn't look right. Let me did some calling around. I ended up leaving. They ended up calling me back later saying, that's a gray market car and we're not allowed to insure that. Yeah. So I was like, what? Like,
what's a gray market?
Right. And like, at that point I knew. I was like, all right, well.
Yeah, it's going to be a collector specialty type thing.
Right. And that's when I got online and started looking up these specialty type insurances. And, I've always heard of Haggerty and Grundy, and just from they have advertisements. If you watch any of the car shows on TV, they have advertisements for Haggerty. I'm sure you've heard of it.
Sure. Yeah.
So I called up Haggerty, or actually I think I went online, and it was pretty easy. I went online, made an account, put in my VIN number, put in the value and all that, and probably within the day,
you got a bill.
Yeah. It said I was accepted, and that I was good to go. And I'm like, oh wow, that was actually kind of easy. And I was expecting this astronomical bill, right? I was like, oh man, this is going to be like $500 a month or something crazy like that, because of what it's covering. And obviously, like my other daily driver cars through Allstate, they can be pricey.
Yeah.
But it wasn't. It was under $200 a month. And, I have a few tickets on my record. I'm not spotless or nothing like that. So I was kind of surprised. I'm like, this is actually decent. And, I went back and added a little more value to my car.
Yeah. Maybe this is worth it.
Just get a little bit more coverage, just in case if anything happens.
Yeah, exactly.
But I thought it was very simple once you found the place to get it. The insurance is very simple if you go to these certain places. But if you're going to try to go to your, regular agent up the street, it's going to be
9 times out of 10 they're not. And back in the day, like back when I had the Civic Type R's and stuff, like it was different because these cars, and we're talking about 2007, 2006, these cars were not as like plentiful,
right?
So they didn't send you. So for example, back then, and I still have USAA, and I also use Geico, and both of these places just put zeros in front of
the VINs?
Yeah, on the VIN in order to make it 17 digits, and they would cover me. And it was kind of just like, oh, okay, this is like a special circumstance type thing, and I just had like regular
Never
coverage.
Had an issue with it?
No, like on your truck. And I mean, it's not like I kept these cars for long enough to have an issue, but now, when I went to do my car, I logged on to USAA, typed in my VIN, like thinking it'd be like back in the day, even added some zeros when it didn't go through. And I called because I'm like, hey, this isn't working out. And she's like, well, that's because, we no longer cover specialty cars like that. We use American Collectors as our like off branch to do that. And so what's kind of funny is, right, and you know that this is how it happens, is USAA partners with American Collectors.
Yeah.
So USAA then refers me to American Collectors, and you know USAA is getting a kickback on my insurance. It's just like, it's wild, you know, like how this works. But at least it is available to us, and it's not like you can't insure your JDM car.
Right.
At least there's an option. And yeah, I think on the $80,000, I pay $1,200 a year.
Yeah, that's
it's
not
like,
bad.
No, it's not. $100 a month, dude. I'm like, like you said, like I was expecting, like, yo, I'm asking for $80,000.
Right.
I'm expecting to pay $200-$300 a month to maintain that value.
Right.
But at like it ends up being like $112 a month. That's like crazy. Like I'm like, should I just get agreed value on all my vehicles? Yeah. Like this kind of seems to work out, you know. They'd think I was a fool though if I tried.
Right. But that's cool. I mean, yeah, I mean, it's not that hard once you find these places.
Right. And just compare, right? Like that's if you're not in like a huge rush,
right?
Just compare, get a quote from Grundy. I was telling you, I think I heard that. Well, I did hear that State Farm also does agreed value policies.
Right.
And so if you have State Farm, you don't even have to go to one of these subsidiaries. You can literally just use your agent, Jake, or whatever.
Yeah. Hit up old Jake.
Old Jake, yeah. And yeah, so I mean, I think that's really cool, and I hope that more regular insurance companies kind of open up to this instead of funneling us into these like specialty accounts to where, you know, I mean, yeah, it's cool, but it's kind of a hassle, right? Having multiple insurance companies.
Kind of, but I don't know. But with your car, like with your specialty car, you want that specialty insurance, right?
Yeah, but what I'm saying is it would be cool if USAA or Allstate offered just the specialty insurance.
Right.
So it's on one like policy instead of like, I got to pay my USAA bill, I got to pay my American Collectors bill. You know, like it's like just one of those
I don't know. I mean,
things.
I don't really mind because like, here's the thing. If you're in your specialty car, right? If you're in your 98 Civic Type R, and you're cruising down the street and you get hit by an uninsured, unlicensed driver, do you think your basic policy is going to understand the value and the importance of this car?
No, but they would have a special department that's the like specialty car department.
Right.
Yes, that would. Yeah.
Right.
I'm just saying take American Collectors, merge it with USAA, then there's not two. But no, I agree. A regular policy on one of these cars, no, I wouldn't want to deal with it because from A to Z, everything would be a hassle, whether it's that, you know, the guy that comes in, the adjuster that comes and looks at the car and he's like, why the hell is the steering wheel on the wrong side? Yeah, I don't know.
Got hit so hard.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. I got out of the car and all of a sudden the steering wheel was on this side. It's weird. But yeah, I mean, no, I wouldn't want to deal with that because dealing with standard insurance policies from the jump, even on a regular truck or something,
dude.
right?
It's such a pain, dude. It's pulling teeth, man. It's like it's such a pain.
They want to nickel and dime you,
nickel and diming you, and screwing you over because you've been paying them hundreds of dollars a month for this thing, and then you're trying to use it, and they're like,
potentially for years, you've been paying hundreds of dollars
and never have a claim, and as soon as you do, it's like.
They're like, oh, you're going to have to pay out of pocket for your rental. You're going to have to pay.
Right.
You're like, wait, what? It says on my policy rental.
Yeah. And it's like, what is this coming from, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, whereas, you know, if you were hit with a, you know, different type of policy, I feel like those adjusters and those people that work within that company probably know that this is a special car. It's not just a 90s ship box that's worth $3,000. No, it's actually a decent amount of money that needs to be paid out for this thing, you know?
For sure. And we have a friend who we featured on the podcast a few weeks ago.
Yeah,
Richie Capillion.
Yeah.
And if you remember, he had, you know, just gotten from Stacked his 98 EK9 CTR. And, you know, literally 2 weeks after our interview, he was going through an intersection, got T-boned?
Yep, going through an intersection, got hit by a guy in his work van that ran a red light. The guy was an illegal immigrant, wasn't a citizen, didn't have a license, didn't have insurance.
That'll happen, man.
Yeah.
Dang.
And, you know, it sent Richie, it dented up the fender and door quite a bit. Sent him over a curb, destroyed the wheels, the Regamasters on there. And, yeah, he's been going through a lot of heartache ever since, man. And and his insurance policy was just a regular, you know, as I quote him, because I talked to him yesterday, he just had regular ass insurance.
Yeah.
So he 100% wishes he could go back and get a specialty policy through the Haggerty. So
yeah, that'll literally do it, right? That's the exact example, right? Like, you know, you're in a rush, you want to get this thing registered, you're the insurance company's like, okay, let's do it.
And you're like, oh, cool.
Yeah, like you're good.
Not really thinking.
Like, I'm about to get hit in 4 weeks.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Dude,
literally. I'm sure he wishes he could go back because he'd have that cash right now to get those parts and do it right because the value was there.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's heartbreaking, man. It sucks. It's because, he's going to be having to fight with that insurance company.
For a minute,
death, for the minute, you know, like it won't be.
He's not getting his check next week. He's getting his check in 6 months after he's gone through all of this. Yeah. So
even though I'm sure he had uninsured motorist and all that on his policy,
but
they're going to be
value on the car.
But
that's a '98 Civic, brother.
Right.
That's not a EK9 CTR.
Right.
There's a huge.
They don't even know
difference.
what that means.
Right. They're like, what?
It's got stickers on it and red seats. Like, what are you talking about? Like,
cool story, bro. Here's your $1,200.
Right. It's like, wait a minute.
So that's a lesson to be learned from, you know, somebody that we personally know is, you know, every time we take these cars out of the garage, you're like, fuck, I hope I don't get hit.
They're not invincible, man. They get hit all the time. And I've actually seen quite a few Skylines specifically. I don't know if it's just part of the groups I'm part of or whatever, but I've seen a bunch of Skylines popping up on Copart. Like
rear-ended, whatever it was.
Whatever it was, you know? Like, so, yeah, man, just because you got a cool car and you love it doesn't mean it's invincible.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And just because a lot of people also love it doesn't mean that they won't T-bone it at an intersection.
Right.
I mean,
accidents happen, you know, and that's why insurance is a very important thing, and getting the correct type of policy is because just like with anything else we've covered, do your due diligence.
Right.
Like 100% do your research, do a little bit of homework. It's worth it in the long run. Yeah,
for sure. And this way you just don't end up in, you know, Richie's situation where you're kind of like bummed because you wish you had done it. You wish you had listened to Right Hand Drive Guys prior, you know, really, you know. So yeah, that's insurance. And again, do your due diligence. There's more companies than we know of. There's more options than we know of, but this is at least a guide to kind of get you direction towards making sure that you're in the right situation.
And check them out before you get the car. You know, start doing your research on some of these insurance, because if you got a shitty driving record,
you may be disappointed when you go to
might
apply.
not be able to insure the car at all.
Yeah.
Like,
which is crazy.
Just keep that in mind, man. And it's one of those things you gotta have, and unless you're just silly and don't care, like, you want that thing covered for the value. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, absolutely. You pay $40,000 for a car and it's insured for 22. Like you're losing. Like, and eventually you're losing.
Or not insured at all. Like, you know what I mean?
That's crazy.
Like,
yeah.
Wild.
So when it comes to financing, you know, this is a question that I do see often, and, you know, guys have commented on our posts and DM'd us about, you know, how do I get this car if I don't have the cash? And, you know, of course, we all like to say, like, cash is king. And, like, yeah, you don't want a loan on a JDM car if you can help it.
Right.
But some of us can't help it. Yeah. Right? We just want the car and we get the loan.
Yeah, and some people want it for daily drivers or whatever it might be as well. So.
Yeah. And so, you know, there's some obvious, like, things that you can try for financing. You know, first and foremost, you could ask your grandmother to borrow some money.
Oh, yeah. Ma.
Hey, Ma.
Hey, Ma, let me get a couple grand.
Hey, I need $128,000 for this I-34 GTR. I can't import until 2025. Is that cool, Ma?
Sure, honey.
Yeah, so, I mean, you can try to get, you know, private loans that in today's economy, that, like, you're probably better off doing that, but that's also hard because in today's economy, not everybody has $5,000 to $50,000 to loan out.
Right. Who knows a loan shark? Like,
yeah,
kind
for
of
sure. Yeah, you'd have to have a friend with
one.
some cash, or you'd have to have family members. Like, definitely don't get involved with somebody that's gonna send Vinny and Guido after you if you miss your payment. Like, that's for sure. But there are so you're not going to be able to get a traditional auto loan. That's not going to happen unless you know somebody that can fudge some stuff in order to make that happen. But like we have a good friend that owns like very, very large dealerships, and there was no way that he could get his financing on these type of cars.
Right.
I asked him, I'm like, hey, dude, you think like you could get me a loan on an R34? He's like, dude, the car's not even on U.S. soil. I can't get you a loan for it. I'm
How can they repo it if it's not even here?
Yeah. So, and that's really what it is that
the risk.
Yeah, and there's no standard for these cars, especially not yet. So you're not going to be able to get, Wells Fargo to give you an auto loan on any of these cars.
Right.
However, you could apply for a personal loan through Wells Fargo.
Right.
You are going to pay a higher interest rate because it's a personal loan. It's unsecured. They don't have collateral. They can't take the car.
Right.
They're going to have to chase you down another way. So you can try to get a personal loan through a traditional bank.
Right.
A lot of guys do that. Some guys don't want to mess with a traditional bank. Some guys can't get approved by Wells Fargo, whatever the case may be. So what do you do at that point? Well, there are a few companies who will loan out on these type of vehicles.
Yeah.
However, your qualifications have to be on point.
Yeah. And
so Collector Car Lending is a company that you can apply with, and they are known for financing, GTRs, Supras, that type of thing. Same with JJ's Best.
Yeah.
And those two are like made for collector cars, right? Like you're not getting like an auto loan, but you're not getting a personal loan.
Right.
It's like kind of in between because you are actually getting it out on this vehicle. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
but there's no title for them to have for that
You
vehicle.
still hold the title and all that.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So I'd assume like deep down it is a form of like personal loan, but I think that they report better interest rates than like your standard personal loan.
Right.
Which brings us to the next one. Okay, JJ's Best says no. Collector Car Lending says no. Us being humans, on to the next, right?
If you want it,
right. If you want it, you do it, dude. and that's for real because these cars are like a lifestyle and they're like super important to some people. And hey, what's 8-9% interest when I can have my dream car once I pay off the loan? That 8 or 9% interest is in the past, but the car is still here.
Right.
So
and probably appreciated.
Yeah, for sure. So if you play it right, that 7 or 8 doesn't matter because you gain 13.
Right.
And so you're still up.
Yeah.
And so you can hit up Lightstream. I'm sure a lot of guys have heard of and tried that. Another one is SoFi. They'll do up to $100,000 personal loan. So that's pretty decent in the sense of, okay, I want an R34. I got 30 grand of my own money. I'm getting 100 from SoFi.
Yeah.
Boom. We're good.
So are these are just strictly online, right? Like
Lightstream and SoFi. Yeah. They'll tell you within 10 minutes. they'll break your heart or make your day within 10 minutes, dude.
Yeah, I think I have had my heart broken a few times.
Yeah, I hear you there. So it is one of those things, right? Like you want it bad enough, you'll do what it takes to get it.
Right.
Hit them up. If they say yes, spend the money, get the car, right? And deal with the rest later as long as you're not putting yourself in financial jeopardy.
Yeah.
Right? I mean,
don't be silly.
Yeah, that's kind of the thing. Don't bite off more than you can chew because these cars, the price is going to go up, but the cars aren't going anywhere.
Right.
So you might pay a little more, but you didn't put yourself in financial jeopardy and have, them have to come collect on a loan. Yeah. So
makes the car way more enjoyable if you're not stressing about
the money part.
Paying for it.
Yeah. And so don't get yourself in that situation, right? If you think you want a GTR, but you can only financially afford a GTT,
right?
Just do the GTT, bro. You still got an R34. Work with it.
Right.
See what happens, and you maybe have that chance to upgrade later.
And that GTR for the GTT price, Don't buy that.
Yeah,
Don't buy that.
Yeah. That's a whole nother episode.
That's a whole nother episode. There.
Like, don't buy that.
Just get the GTT and
yeah,
be
that $75,000 GTR. I don't know how that's gonna run, but
yeah.
So there are like a few other options. And one thing that we've noticed is some of these importers have started offering like an in-house financing. I can't be positive because I've obviously never applied for it. I don't think you have either.
I have not.
Yeah, so I'm not sure how they're doing that, whether that's actually like in-house cash or if that's just, or if they just send you to Lightstream.
Right.
Like,
or
I got
send
no
you
clue.
their local bank or credit union that works with them.
That works with them, yeah.
Possibly.
So I'm not sure, but I do know that is going to be, another option.
Right,
of course.
Some of the dealers do. I've only seen it a few times personally.
Yep.
But it definitely
it's not
is a
every
thing.
dealer.
Right, it's not every single dealer.
A lot of them will say we offer financing, but like again, like I could say I offer financing and literally send you a link to one of these,
right. Or offer financing on this K truck for $6,000 they got right here.
Yeah. Which, I mean, I guess if you were like a dealer doing that stuff, that would be the way to do it, right? You offer a high interest rate on in-house low cost stuff like a K truck, $6,000. You end up getting 10 back after the interest. I mean, I guess if you could build yourself up that way, it's not horrible for the company, for the person. I mean, you're paying 10 when you could have paid 6. Like, but so yeah, I mean, there are some options here when it does come to insuring and financing these vehicles. It's not like this crazy kind of hard to deal with thing. It's not super stressful. You do got to educate yourself. First.
You gotta want it, and if you want it, then dude, jump right in. Read every article you can see about whatever financing option or whatever it might be. Like, just jump right in, do your research.
Yeah,
don't be afraid. Like, dude, type anything into Google, something's gonna come up.
Yeah,
like, come on,
and like the groups too, because what I noticed on Facebook is obviously everybody knows the groups. The questions get asked 80 times. It don't matter if it was asked 2 hours ago. Somebody will still ask, but you can do a lot of research by just hitting the search function on the groups.
Absolutely,
and like I said, like we're not completely versed and super experts on these two subjects. However, we're giving you kind of the baseline to then go add on to that with your own research. You might find some financing options we didn't. Let us know about them. That way we can go ahead and pass that stuff on to the next guy.
Yeah, me.
Yeah, exactly, right. And so that just makes it more of a community type thing when we're all kind of sharing info, and that's really why we're doing this in the first place.
Yeah, I love to share the knowledge, and I love to learn,
Yeah,
Teach something.
Absolutely, yeah. Like, interact with us, because we'll shout you out, use your info, and continue to educate people. So what's next over here? What are we gonna do next?
What are we doing next?
He's like, oh, crap, we didn't talk about this before. Yeah. What do you mean, what are we doing next? So this is going to be our last episode recording in my office where we've been recording. We started at Aaron's kitchen table.
Yep, did.
And then we moved over to my office because his dogs kept sniffing our butts while we were trying to record.
Yeah, tap dancing across the floor.
Yeah, and if you listen to the first few episodes, you can hear us giggle every time his dog sniffs our butts. So it got weird quick. But no, so this is our last episode in the office. We have kind of come up with a strategy to start recording video, which is something that we've wanted to do for a while, but we didn't want to do it prematurely and not have it be quality.
Right.
So we're setting up inside of the Blunt Garage. We have an area that we're going to use as our studio, which I think a lot of people will think is cool the way that we're doing it.
Yeah, I think it's dope.
Yeah, because you came up with the idea. Duh.
Well, hey, I mean.
But yeah, no, it just incorporates the cars more and incorporates kind of that vibe. And then with the video, it really can expand all of the emotions and the all of our reactions and everything.
Right.
Instead of just hearing our voice, you can actually see our ugly faces.
A little bit more personal.
Yeah. You took that personal?
No.
But yeah, so we're excited because again, like we're doing this for fun. There's no money involved. There's no reward beyond being able to help out other dudes just like us, you know?
Right.
And we're going to take it to the next level.
Yeah, I'm stoked for it. Yeah, the garage brings a whole different vibe, you know?
Yeah.
It's
the garage.
It's the best.
Yeah, if you haven't seen it, you can check out our IG at RHDGUIS. And I think that'll wrap it up.
Sounds good to me.
Awesome. So yeah, if you have any other questions about insuring or financing, just hit us up. We'll see if we can help you figure that stuff out.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I'm Bobby. This is Aaron.
See ya.
Peace. Forgot I had to say